Hey guys, so this week I am still in the midst of cleaning up all my old projects that I've been working on, kind of clearing the deck so I can get started fresh. I feel like I want to start fresh for the new year. But I have just finished making this crocheted granny square, a giant crochet granny square. So I thought today what I would show you is how to crochet a granny square. Hey guys, thank you so much for being here today. My name is Felicia from SweetGeorgia, and this is Taking Back Friday. This is a space where we come every Friday and we talk about something to do with the fiber arts. Today, I'm going to talk about my very limited knowledge of crochet. And so basically, all I really know how to do is do some chain stitch and a couple of stitches, and I can make a granny square. And so today I'm going to show you the step-by-step how to actually crochet a granny square. If you do like crochet, if you do want to get more into crochet, we're actually working with Charlotte Lee at the School of SweetGeorgia, and she is producing a whole class about everything that you need to know about crochet to get started. And she came from a background of knowing how to crochet before she joined us at SweetGeorgia. She's currently the assistant production manager at SweetGeorgia, but she does so many other things. But she came to us as a crocheter, and she didn't participate in a lot of these other crafts that she's doing now. She's doing so many now. But when she started, she was just hardcore crocheter. And so Charlotte is going to actually lead everyone through a very, very comprehensive class on how to crochet. But today I'm going to share with you my limited knowledge of how to crochet a granny square. So just to give you a preview of what you're aiming for, this is a little crochet granny square. This is way bigger than you would make it. Usually granny square, when I started making granny squares when I was a kid, I would make them probably about 3 rounds of crochet, and then I just kind of like cut them off, and then you can sew them together, make a blanket, something like that. These pieces, these squares, could be used for anything. So this is much larger than you would make it, but here I'll show you a preview of what is happening here. So if we just look at 3 rounds, so this is 1 round in the middle here, this is the 2nd round, and this is a 3rd round. So that's what your crocheted granny square should look like if we block out all of this other stuff, okay? Now, what is basically happening is that you are making these double crocheted clusters, and then you chain 2 stitches in between each of these clusters in order to give space to make a corner. So this is a square. So these spaces are being formed by a chain 2 space, okay? So we start basically from here. We're making a cluster, chain 2, a cluster, chain 2, a cluster, chain 2, a cluster. And then what we do is we chain a couple more stitches in order to get the length that you need to go out to the 2nd round. And then again, you're doing the same thing. You're basically making a cluster in this space. Then you make a chain 2 to make a new space, and then another cluster, another chain 2 space to make this area for a corner. And so with this 2nd round, you can see that I have a cluster here, and then I've made a chain 2 to make a space, but then I'm making another cluster into the same space in order to form that corner, right? So it's here is a cluster, and here is a cluster, and that forms this corner here, okay? So you have to make sure that when you're making your corners, you're making them in the right places. Otherwise, you get what I've done here, which is, this is a mistake. I made 2 clusters of these double crochets into the same space, but this is not a corner space. So I accidentally made a corner here because I was not paying attention. I was talking to friends while I was doing this and not paying attention to what I was doing. So I thought that this was a corner, but in fact it was not. So I've made just this extra outgrowth here. So you don't want that to happen. You want to make sure that you are putting those clusters into the same corners. So let's begin. So in order to start, you have your yarn here, okay? I am using a hook that I got from the Japanese dollar store. This is a $2 hook. This is size 6, which I'm thinking is 6 millimeters. So what we want to start with is we're going to start with this thing called a magic ring, which is basically just a loop. I'm just laying my yarn over like so, okay? And then I'm going to stick my hook inside and then draw out one sort of a chain, okay? Then I'm going to put all of this under tension. So I'm going to tension my yarn, And then I'm going to hold this so that way this is all a bit under tension. And then I can chain 5. So I've chained 5, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 double crochets into the ring. So what that looks like is I take the hook and I wrap the yarn around the hook. Then I go into the center of the ring. I pull out a strand and then take the hook and I catch the strand, and I'm going to pull through two strands on the hook. And so now I'm left with 2 strands again, and I'm going to do that again, wrap it around, and then pull through the next 2. And so now I'm left with just one strand on the hook now. And so that is a double crochet. So you can see here we have our chain 5, and then we have a double crochet. And I'm going to do that again. So I have my magic ring here. I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to go around to catch yarn on my hook. Then I'm going to take it into the center of the ring. I'm going to pull out a loop. So now you can see I have 3 strands on my hook. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap the yarn around the hook again. So it looks like there's 4. I'm going to draw that through 2, and I'm going to do it again and draw through the second 2. And so that is my second double crochet. I'm going to do that one more time. So I'm going to wrap around, go into the circle, pull out another loop. So I have 3 on my hook, and I'm going to wrap around again to pull through 2 loops, wrap around again, pull through 2 loops. So that is my third double crochet. So that is my double crochet sort of cluster. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2. And that is going to be my little corner space, okay? And you can see that I can take this loop, this strand, and I can tighten it up a little bit just by pulling on it. I can make it a little bit more compact. Okay, I'm going to go back again. So I am going to do the next set of double crochets, okay? So I'm going to wrap around, go into the loop, pull out a loop. I have 3 on the hook, going through 2 and going through another 2. Wrap around, go in. So that is a second double crochet. So you can see there's a little bit of a hole being left here. So again, wrapping around, going into the center of the ring, pulling out a loop, wrapping around the hook, pulling through 2 loops, and then pulling through the last 2 loops. So that is 3 double crochets. Okay, now the next thing is 2 single chains. So I just chain 2. Then I'm going to make my double crochet again. Make a chain 2, and so you can see what we're doing here. We have 1 corner here, 1 corner here, 1 corner here, and then this is the final corner. So now I am going to make the final set of double crochet clusters. So this is double crochet, wrapping around the hook, going into the middle, pulling up another loop, going through 2 loops, going through 2 loops. Okay, so now since I have these 4 corners, I have this side, and this side are all formed with double crochets. And now I have on my last side, I have 2 double crochets. I'm not going to make a third one because this bar here that's being formed is going to be the third leg of that cluster. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just join in here. So I'm looking for the little V that's happening here. I'm going to go under both legs of that V. I'm going to wrap some yarn around, pull through from under those 2 legs, and then I'm not going to wrap anymore because I don't want to add length to this. I'm just joining it together. So I'm taking that same loop and pulling it straight through. Okay, so now I have joined, and then I'm going to take the yarn, this little cut end of yarn, and I'm going to tighten this up. And that will tighten up the center of my granny square. So that's the first round. You can see that this is the beginning of our round. So this is the beginning of our round. This is another corner, there's another corner, and another corner. So what we're going to do is, because I want to move this little loop to the top of this corner in order to start the next round, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for those V's again, and I'm going to stick my hook under the two legs of the V, wrap a little yarn, and then pull through. Basically, I'm going to take the hook again, go under the two legs of that V, pull up a little bit of yarn, and then pull it right through. So basically, I'm just traveling along the length of that corner. And from here, I'm going to do that chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so this is going to give me my first bar and a corner. So now from here, I can do my double crochet into this corner, this first corner. So wrap it around, go in, pull out. So that is my first set of 3 double crochets. Then I'm going to chain 2, chain, chain, and then I'm going to go to the next corner that's here. So I'm going to double crochet into that corner. So 3 double crochets into that corner. Okay, so that's 3 double crochets into the second corner. Then again, going to make a corner by making chain 2 stitch. So that gives me that space. And then going to make the same double crochet, 3 double crochets into the same space again. So just to show you kind of a map of where we're at right now, you can see this is our first round. This is the chain, the chain 5 that started everything off. So this is the beginning of round. So here's space, 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 space. And we have made another chain 5 here. So that's going to be the last leg of the round. We have 3 double crochets here in this space. Then we make a chain 2. Then we make 3 double crochets here, a chain 2, and then again we're double crocheting into the same space, and that is forming the corner that's here. So we're going to keep building around and then connect out here and then do another round out here. So you can see first round, second round, corner, 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 and now you can see that the third round that I'm going to do, I'm going to go into this first corner space to do my double crochet, and then I'm going to do a chain 2, and then here I have another side space, so I'm just going to make a double crochet here, and then I'll make a chain 2 space, and then I'll do my double crochet in here. So 2 sets of double crochet in here to make the next corner, 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 and so on and so forth. Now you can probably see from how I hold my crochet hook and how I hold my yarn, I tension my yarn differently than how I would tension my knitting yarn, because I found that when I tension my yarn the same way that I tension for knitting, the yarn is always falling off my hands because your actions are different, the behavior is different, and so you're going to need to make adjustments to how you hold your yarn. For the hook, I have always held it with my hand over top, which is not the greatest. I know it's not great, but it's how I have been getting control over my crochet hook this whole time. I know that it's probably better to hold it like a pencil. This will probably give you much more, it's much more ergonomic. It's not gonna affect your shoulder so much. I did hurt myself crocheting that giant granny square blanket because I was doing it for so long and holding it with my hand over top of the hook. And that just holding your hand this way versus this way, you can see already what happens to your shoulder, right? So holding it this way is gonna cause more shoulder strain. Holding it from underneath is a way better way to do that. And so if you want to learn about all of the intricacies of how to tension your yarn, how to make a chain stitch, how to hold your crochet hook, the difference between different kinds of crochet hooks, I really encourage you to follow Charlotte and see what she's doing with the course on crochet. I'm teaching everybody how she has crocheted entire dresses. She has a wardrobe full of like knitted dresses, crocheted dresses, She does a lot of crochet. So yeah, I would love to see your crochet projects. There's not a really good way for you to share your photos with me through YouTube. So what the best way to do is probably to tag us, SweetGeorgia, on Instagram, and then we'll be able to see what you're making, what you're working on. I would love to see if you're crocheting, what kinds of things you make, what kind of projects you might make with the granny square, or other kinds of crochet. So that is basically it for today. Thank you so much for being here to learn about how to make a granny square and how not to make a granny square. So if you like this episode, please do hit the like button, and if you'd like to see more content like this, please do hit subscribe. We come here almost every Friday to talk about something to do with color and craft. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. All right, bye for now.